two-day zonal conference on emerging multidisciplinary research trends and advanced methodologies for Viksit Bharat 2047. NIT Trichy, in collaboration with Students for Holistic Development of Humanity Foundation, SHoDH, proudly presents Convergence 2026. Today we are on session 5 on equality education and academic opportunities towards Viksit Bharat. I invite Professor Ganesan Kannabiran sir, Director of NAC, and Dr. S. Gokulraj sir, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Pondicherry University, to the dais. Welcome, sir. It's my privilege to introduce you all the speaker of this session, Professor Ganesan Kannabiran sir, Director of National Assessment, Director of NAC. So, to felicitate sir, to honor this presence today, I now request Dr. S. Gokulraj, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Pondicherry University, to felicitate our special speaker. Our distinguished session chair, Dr. S. Gokulraj, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, Pondicherry University, excels in the synthesis and characterization of phase-pure materials for industrial and technological applications. His research delves into optical, electrical, and magnetic properties across micro to nano scales, focusing on metal oxide, rare earth materials, nonlinear optical crystals, and multiferroic materials. His innovation work directly supports key UN Sustainable Development Goals, clean water and sanitation, SDG 6, affordable and clean energy development, SDG 7, and industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG 9. His contributions to advanced device technologies and sustainable material solution building fundamental science with real world impact. With a stellar research trajectory, he serves as CSIR Senior Research Fellow, SRF Extended, and Research Associate at Presidency College, Chennai, specializing in nonlinear optical materials, and DST Serb Young Scientist at NIT Tiruchirappalli, advancing multiferroic research. His expertise make him an ideal moderator for our discussion on quality education and academic excellence. I now invite Mr. R. Sujit, Research Scholar, Social Work Department, Bharatidasan University, Trichy, to felicitate Dr. S. Gokulraj. Thank you, sir. Speaker, sir, your experience, bridging policy, practice, and grassroots impact will be invaluable for all of us here. With great honor, I now invite Professor Ganesan Kannabiran, sir, to deliver his address. The stage is yours, sir.
Good morning to all of you. You didn't get a good breakfast? Good morning to all of you. So at the outset, I'm grateful to the organizers for inviting me to deliver a talk as part of this 2-day program. And I'm also very happy that my colleagues from NIT Trichy are here. So when she wanted to introduce me, I said I'll introduce myself to the audience. So I'm a professor still in this institution. I'm on deputation as director of NAC. And I was a student also here in this institution. I graduated in MBA and ME Computer Science from NIT Trichy 1987 and 1992. And I joined as a faculty, as a lecturer, 1989. And then I became an assistant professor in 95 and professor in 2003 and 2009 HAG professor. I was head of department for 8 years and I was the dean of research. Then I was the director in charge twice in 2016 and 2021. Between 2018 and 23, I went as a director of IIIT in Andhra Pradesh, 18 to 23 on deputation. Again, I came back in 23 and then left as director of NAC in 23. So I think when I come back in 2028, I'll retire from NIT Trichy. So I think there are a lot of research scholars and faculty members. So I just put together some slides. I was traveling in the night, train in the last night, so I just put some 10 slides. I thought I'll use the slides to really contextualize my presentation. So I will talk on 4 shorter themes. The first one is economy, society, community and sustainability and relate to higher education. And higher education present and future, little bit we talk about it. Then changing focus of higher education quality and then emergence of 360-degree teacher. I am sure that some of you are already teachers and most of you after your PhD you are likely to become teachers. So what is in store for you when you graduate from your PhD and when you join your teaching or research roles in academic institutions or research labs? So although some of these things that I'm going to talk are known to you, I only want you to sort of contextualize in for today's session. So India today is the 4th largest economy and poised to become the 3rd largest economy by the turn of the decade, which means by 2030 or so, India will become the 3rd largest economy. The economies that are close to us are growing at a very low growth rate, and we are growing at 7. China is growing 4 point something. Germany is growing, growing at 1%. Somebody is growing at -%. So India is obviously is becoming the 3rd largest economy in the next 5 years. And obviously the last 10 years has seen a very good growth in terms of major parameters, economic indicators. We have grown significantly under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. And the next 5 years, 10 years, it will equally be, important and growing again because of the economic policies. So when we become the 3rd largest economy, and obviously if there are students of economics here, you will know the total GDP of US or China when compared to ours is many times bigger than us. And the per capita income is also significantly different in those countries. So what does it tell us? Basically, we may become an economic superpower, a 3rd largest economy, but what is more important is what happens to our societies. And today you open a newspaper of a national newspaper or a regional newspaper, and the kinds of news that you see in newspapers tells so many things about our country. There are so many challenges in our society. Be it at poverty, there is a sizable part of the population is living in poverty. Look at the discrimination. Look at our caste system. Look at our discrimination against women. And you see every day there are news like this, there are incidents like this, which only tells us that society, our society, has not grown. So therefore, the economic leadership that we are talking about cannot be cherished or enjoyed or benefited unless otherwise our society becomes largely inclusive. And for that, of course, there are so many things required. The third aspect is about having sustainable earth. And I'm sure that students of science or otherwise, you are aware of what is happening to our earth, both in terms of, depleting resources as well as other environmental challenges that humanity is facing because of these sustainability issues. Now what happens? Is it that we cannot, India cannot manage this? India can very well manage. And if you, obviously you must have read, I'm just bringing it to context, that about 1000 years ago or 1500 years ago, Bharat was one of the top countries in economy. India had 30% of world GDP. And India had a very, very vibrant society, rich culture. And that was also reflected in the kind of institutions that we had. You look at Nalanda, Dakshashila or such institutions, which were able to attract students from all over the world. And they were the centers of knowledge, centers of culture, and they were also aiding economic and social development. In the last 1000 years, many invaders came into India, and the last one is the Britishers. They were there for 300 years until middle of last century, and they took away a lot of our resources, and also sort of distorted our culture and our communities. So when Prime Minister Modi took over as the Prime Minister for the third time in 2024, I'm sure that he addressed the Parliament, and in that address he was mentioning that whatever we do today, whatever decisions we make, whatever policies we implement, will affect our nation for the next 1000 years. Which means that our policies, our programs, our initiatives are not necessarily very short-sighted, they are very long-term oriented. And we want to bring back that glorious Bharat back to our society. That is why the Viksit Bharat 2047, although it is called Viksit Bharat 2047 as a vision, and it is just a milestone. It is not the destination, it is only the direction. It takes you in the right path for us to bring back the glorious Bharat to our society. Therefore, the economic leadership is very important, and equally important is our socio-cultural development. The second is the aspirational society. Now, as you are all aware that the large percentage of our population is youth. We talk about 45% of our population to be youth, and about 20 plus percentage of those who were born after 2000, what we call as Gen Alpha generations of learners and students, are very aspirational. And this aspirational society demands so many things, and they are exposed to the world opportunities and challenges, and they are self-aware, and they are having relatively better mind to accept challenges and opportunities. Therefore, to meet the demands of the aspirational society, we need to really come out with different kinds of strategies. And the third is vibrant communities. When we talk society as at the national level. But when we talk about communities, communities are the neighborhood of the institutions. And our friend is there from JNU. The neighborhood of JNU is different from the neighborhood of NIT Trichy. Okay. So you, as an institution, today you cannot have a template through which you can look at the communities. You need to look at what is the ground reality in your place and look at the community from that respect. Then obviously I talked about sustainable earth, then the national to global focus. Obviously today we are looking at, we becoming the third largest economy. And if you have a very tight link between higher education development and the economic development, am I making sense? If you are saying that higher education helps or enables economic growth, then obviously today if you look at the top 100 universities of the world, okay, and a sizable number of our universities should be in the top 100, right? We are the third largest economy, and the large chunk, if not 30%, a sizable percentage of our universities have to be in the top 100. Today, if you look at our universities, that there are only very few universities which are figuring in the QS and Times ranking. And some universities and institutions are coming into the top ranking, again it goes out and then come in. There is no stability in our growth in our institutions. So as we obviously look at our institutions to contribute our own socio-economic development, and there is also a need to look at how our institutions figure in the international ranking. I just move on to the next topic, higher education present and future. This, many of our young teachers will know today how the whole thing is changing. Let us look at teaching. Teaching itself is undergoing changes in the last 10 years, and the changes that are likely to come in the next 5 years, 10 years is completely dramatically different, and you will see our roles as teachers will completely change. The AI and all sorts of other related technologies is going to change. And you don't need a teacher to go and tell students that PowerPoint slides you make and tell what is there in the book or what you have read. Everything is available through your AI based system, and the role of teacher is going to change. And unless otherwise we are fully prepared to change, we are not sure where we are heading. The first change is teacher centric to student centric. It is just not a jargon, teacher centric to student centric. In our curriculum, in our programs, and I have been here in this same institution for 20, 30 years, and every time when we design courses, I don't think that we are looking at what is required for the students to study and design courses. And we design courses for our own convenience. And I know some of the teachers will know what is called board of studies. In a department there is a board of studies. And every time in board of studies there will be a discussion, what are the subjects to be dropped, what are the subjects to be introduced. Nobody will agree to delete a subject, remove a subject. Nobody will be willing to change a subject. Unless otherwise you delete certain courses, remove certain courses, you cannot introduce new courses. The curriculum will remain the same. Except some cosmetic changes here, there, the curriculum will remain the same. Example 1. Example 2. As you get into your classroom, do you ever allow your students to ask questions? Do you ever allow your students to come out and present a completely different viewpoint? And whatever I teach is what you need to learn. Somehow we think that we only know everything. We are the only source to students to learn. Okay? That traditionally for decades together, years together, we developed that mindset, And we are not able to accept that students can learn on their own. Students can then learn independently. The best system, in my view, if the students can learn without teachers, and there is the best learning environment, so that you are able to, do better things. The learning outside the classroom. Good morning, madam. Madam is my director. So, the learning outside the classroom. And we also all the time think, catch some 60 students, put them in a classroom, and 60 minutes or 1 hour or something, you go on teaching something, and you at the end of the day, you think students have learned. A completely misunderstanding in today's context. And it is proved that more than 50% of learning happens outside the classroom. What happens in the classroom many a times is more of discussion, exchange of ideas, if there is an opportunity provided in the classroom, rather than actual learning happening outside the classroom. So the real extracurricular activities was considered as really extra to students. Okay, we never thought it is an integral part of learning. That is why NEP removed the word extracurricular and co-curricular and said every learning is a learning. There is no difference between learning inside the classroom and outside the classroom. And we are now using the term called extended curricular engagement, which means all your co-curricular and extracurricular activities are happening like that. In fact, the institute where I was a director for 5 years, seeing the students who come from top JE ranks and the kind of appetite that the students have to learn from each other, we completely shifted our focus to extended learning. Okay, what is this extended learning? Don't catch them in the classroom, put them in the classroom, leave them. Give them problems, and they will solve the problems and come back to you without your help. We looked at that learning. All of you know that the students who are informally connected well can do better. I'm sure in your institutions, when you are forming seminar teams, assignment teams, please allow the students to form their teams. You don't say all odd number, all 1, 5, 10, one group, 6, 12, one group. Don't do that. Allow the students to form groups. And you see how effectively they are able to perform the task. So what we did was, the subjects which are in information technology, computer science, primarily every time we are getting newer technology, newer topics, the teachers were not fully prepared to teach. The best way to learn a subject is to teach a subject. And if you want to learn any subject, you teach the subject in front of 60 students, and the questions that they ask, if you allow, okay, will make you as a good teacher. But in this process, we allow the students to learn themselves. I will probably come back to the topic. Scholarly publications. Now all of us have done publications, right? We know what publications we have done, and how got the idea, how we really worked on the methodology and published papers. And for every promotion we want publications, and obviously you count the number, and you don't go beyond counting the number. The best case or the worst case, we look at how many are Web of Science, how many are Scopus. Not beyond that. Okay. In today's accreditation or ranking, we only ask Web of Science and Scopus publications. Actually, there is a completely bigger world outside about your publications. And if you look at today in our new accreditation framework, we are looking at publications first, total publications, okay, which means all your Web of Science and Scopus. Some of you know there is something called University Care List. How many of you know University Care List? Okay, you don't know. Okay, there is UGC had brought up a list of publications called UGC Care List, but subsequently they have withdrawn it. Now beyond that, If I look at if you have 1,000 publications in your institution in the last academic year, how many publications are Web of Science and how many are Scopus? The ratio between Web of Science and Scopus. Okay. Obviously, all of us know Web of Science publications are difficult than Scopus publications. The next level, we are looking at how many are quartile 1 and how many are quartile 2, how many are quartile 3. Okay. You may have, look at out of 1,000 publications, you have about 500 publications in Web of Science and 500 in Scopus. Out of 500 publications, how many are in quartile? The next level we are asking, how many publications are collaborated publications with institutions above you, which means that if you are a professor of NIT, and how many of your publications you have to co-authors from IITs and foreign universities. Okay. The last one is how many publications are industry relevant, involved industry experts as part of the publications. Okay, which means how many of these publications or from how many of these publications you can harvest intellectual property from those publications. So if you look at that way, your quality of publication is going to increase. It is enough that you have done 5 publications, quality publications. Instead of saying I have 25 publications of some quality, it's good to say that I have 5 good publications. So the quality of publication is becoming important. Research and innovation, the limited focus on outcomes. Now what happens when you do research, as all of you know that you either publish as a paper or you publish as a patent or a IP in science and engineering primarily. And what happens, okay, you publish a patent or it takes time to get the patent granted, maybe 3 years, 5 years. And what do you do with that? 99% of the patents and published and granted are in paper only. It is not moving to the next stage. Therefore, today, if you look at the TRL levels, basically how translative these the patents are, where you are pitching. There are levels of 1 to 5 levels, 6 levels, through which you need to demonstrate this particular patent that I have can translate into this kind of business. Entrepreneurship and startups and the commercialization angle, I don't think even in large institutions like IITs and NITs, not even 1 or 2% of faculty members have become entrepreneurs. And if you look at, India has a faculty startup policy. You just browse it, you have faculty startup policy. What does that say? You as a faculty can run a business. You know that if you are working in a government institution, you cannot earn money. Even if you go and be a member in a doctoral committee or something, you need to declare that you have taken 5,000 rupees as a sitting fee or whatever. But here, the institution allows you to start and run a business and make profit and take the money. So if you look at large universities in the US, any top university, every faculty is part of 4 or 5 business opportunities, startups and mid-sized businesses. And that's how we are looking at the future. Industry engagement, more reactive. There is always an ongoing debate that the industry is not coming to us. Only if industry come to us, we can collaborate. And how many times you went to the industry and asked for opportunities? So you need to be more proactive now. And our NIRF ranks or all the ranks today are looking at the need for proactive, engagements. For example, the institute where I was the director, we looked at one important thing. We had 2 programs, computer science in BTech and electronics BTech. Now we admit 250 students in computer science because it's only information technology institute. Now at the end of every batch, getting placement for 250 students is a challenge. Now unless otherwise, your students are more closer to the industry, more closer to the competency skills needed to perform jobs in the industry, it's not possible for you to get placements. So we looked at the area in which the industry is looking at people. At that time, if any of you have belonged to computer science field, there is something called full stack development. Full stack development is an area of work where the students develop computer applications for real life situations. Okay. Now, you don't have teachers to teach that subject. And how do you really get these students learn? So we brought industry experts to teach these courses and made our faculty to sit in those classrooms. The very first batch, the 100% course was delivered by the industry people. Next batch 50%, next batch 25%. The industry was very keen because they are also, getting shortage of trained manpower. Therefore, when we are giving trained manpower, obviously they are very happy to take it. And in NIT Trichy today, if you look at the kind of consultancy projects or the kind of the research projects that we get, we need to go look for opportunities, and more proactive engagement is required. Student welfare, that's a very important topic where every institution will have a faculty in charge of student welfare, and there will be a board, and he will look at what is happening in the messes, what is happening in the hostel rooms, and so on. But seldom we are actually emotionally connected to the student. Now the emotional bonding is what is required today because so many challenges that students are facing. The student welfare and what we call as student centeredness, which means everything that you do in your institution, every small thing that you do in the institution, look at how does it impact my student. If you ask that question, everything will just go towards students and the students will benefit out of that. And community engagement. And today, most of the community engagements are publicity focused. Okay, you go and do some cleaning up a village, or conducting a blood donation camp or medical camp, take a picture, send out a press release, it ends. That is not community engagement. The community engagement is if you systematically look at your neighborhood, identify the villages or surrounding, profile those villages in terms of what kind of people they are, and look at those different sectors of the community and launch programs for each groups. And do it over a period of 3 years, 5 years, and demonstrate a significant change in that kind of neighborhood. Okay. That is what is aimed at the program called Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. I don't know how many of you are aware Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. And here is a program where it allows you to do systematic engagements. So you need to, from publicity focus, you need to move to transformation focus. What does the NEP 2020 say? It's a very long definition. Higher education system comprising autonomous, vibrant, empowered, multidisciplinary higher education institutions with high quality education, research and service, integrating vocational training and skilling. And we are looking at our institutions, our colleges and universities becoming a large multidisciplinary institutions. And today there are 1,170 universities and close to 55,000 colleges. Okay, out of which only 20% of the colleges are accredited and 45% of the universities are accredited, which means that these institutions do not want to subject themselves for a quality check. Okay. In everything else we want to look at quality. Even if you want to go and eat in a restaurant and you choose a quality restaurant. When it comes to education, we are not really looking at, the ecosystem in general is not looking at having a quality standard. That's where we are. I'll obviously skip this slide, the NEP 2020 and the Viksit Bharat 6 Rajasthan bill, which talks about quality. Okay. Only the one point that I want to talk is For decades together, we have regulated our institutions through UGC, AICTE, NCTE. Those organizations have regulated the institutions, and we are not able to see the required transformation. That is why NEP as well as the new bill talks about removing them from the regulatory frameworks and allowing them as autonomous institutions and make them grow. Okay, and of course, autonomous institutions also have a responsibility. Okay, which I'll talk to you a little later. Now, currently, from an accreditation point of view, what we are doing now, we are looking at, as per the bill, as per the NEP 2020, all institutions in India will come under accreditation, which means all accreditation institutions should subject themselves to a quality check. Okay. Second is we are looking at a basic accreditation, in which we are looking at those institutions never came for accreditation will come for accreditation at a less number of metrics and a very simple framework. The institutions will come into accreditation fold and try to move from there. Then we will have something called maturity based graded levels. So we have, in the recommendation of the committee, we have 5 levels. So level 1 to level 5. The level 5 institutions are those institutions of global excellence for multidisciplinary education and research, which means those institutions which are at a very high level comparable to world top universities are called level 5 institutions. Today, if you look at how many of our institutions are like that, institutions of global excellence, there are probably 10 institutions or 15 institutions. But eventually, we want more and more of these institutions to become global institutions of global excellence. Of course, we are looking at, there are a large number of institutions, close to 45% of our institutions are located in tier 2, tier 3, rural, remote, hilly areas. Now, these institutions, day-to-day running itself is a challenge. And how do we really prepare them for a quality orientation through accreditation? We are also putting a lot of technology into this. Now we are applying AI in 2 areas. One is the institution submit documents, and we are having an AI-based system which will read the documents, so that there are no errors, and we are also able to do more number of checking in a given point in time. And also we are looking at the crowdsourced data validation. Now what happens, any institution which is trying to provide certain data for quality check, for accreditation, and it is proved that close to 20%, 30%, 40% are not genuine data. So which means that we are going to give accreditation based on a data which is not reliable. So therefore we are looking at, asking the stakeholders, the students, the parents, the alumni, the people who are connected with the institution as guest lecturers or board of studies members or recruitment committee members. There are so many people connected with the institutions, and we are going to collect data from them, and accordingly we create what is called a trust score. The trust score is that you climb for a particular metric 10 points, for a maximum of 10 you climb 9 points, and the feedback collected from the stakeholders, the value will be derived and it will be multiplied to get a final value. So if your stakeholders are giving good feedback about you, you deserve whatever score you climb you will get, otherwise it get moderated. So what are those things we are looking at? First is students and learners. Now, as I earlier said, the students, the Gen Alpha students today are completely different in terms of their mental makeup, their expectations, their behavior, and it is needless to tell you. I mean, all of us know. Okay. Now, these students are well informed. It is not that they are not well informed; they are well informed. It is always difficult to have handle well informed students. If the students are dumb, you can manage. The students are smart and they know what they want, and they will demand so much from you. Then it's a challenge. Now, obviously, one of the shift in focus today, not necessarily because of technology, is from knowledge orientation to skill orientation. Irrespective of the field, whether you talk about engineering, science, or humanities, you talk about skill, which means that you don't give them something to know, but give them the abilities to do perform task. And unless otherwise, you as a teacher, you as an institution are not groomed to do that, it is not possible. Okay? I'll just give you an example. I was in 2003-4 time periods, I was teaching some courses in NIT Trichy, and somebody, IIMK invited me to teach some courses. So it is software engineering. So I went to teach a software engineering course to IIMK students, IIM Kozhikode students. So the students of my institution, maybe they will have 1 or 2 years of work experience, maybe 50% of the class. When I landed in IIM Kozhikode, the average experience of students is 6 years, which means somebody with 8 years of experience, somebody with 4 years of experience, and so on. So I started my class in software engineering. So first class, second class, it went some basics. The third class, I talked something. One student stood up, "Sir, what you say is wrong." So tell me how I am wrong. He said, "Sir, I worked in Infosys for 8 years now. The methodology or the concept that you are explaining is not followed in the industry. Okay? So I don't accept your whatever topic that you are teaching, I don't accept. That will be the worst day for you as a teacher, right? Some student stands up in the class and say what you say is wrong. So you put yourself in that situation. Okay, so I said, okay, I will check and come back. That's an easy answer too. So I came back, checked and went. The next class, some other students stood up. "Sir, what you say is wrong." So I realized now something is wrong with me. So whatever I was teaching is not to their expectation. Now I came back and thought about what do I do next. Shall I tell them IIMK that I'm not keeping well, I'm not continuing the subject and all that. Then I decided, I called my own students who are working in the industry. Okay, NIT Trichy students working in the industry. I asked them, and this is my course plan. These are the topics I'm going to teach in the next 3 months to IIMK students. Tell me, for each of these topics, give me some practical examples and practical case studies. Short cases, short examples. So then I prepared. For every class, I need to spend a lot of time with my 2-3 of my students, old students, and then when I start teaching. And by the end of the semester, I won't claim that I become a very good teacher to them. At least I manage the batch of students. But then I decided that this is not working well. I think we cannot be in front of students. We cannot be like this. Okay. So by the same time, I was teaching in IIT Madras. Then I was teaching in IIM Ranchi. Then I was teaching in IIM Trichy. All these institutions I started teaching. Then I decided that I will do internship. When I was doing internship, I was already a professor. Okay, I did 3 internships in 3 companies, one in TCS, one in Cognizant, one in Accenture. In all the 3 companies, we had our own old students as in very senior positions. So I told them I want to come and do an internship with you. They were very surprised. And they accommodated, they gave the guest house, they gave the local transport. Leaving my family here, I went and stayed in Chennai for 2 months and Bangalore for about 1.5 months. And in those time periods, I talked to a lot of people, and not only I learned the subject knowledge, but I also learned what can be the new areas of subjects which can be launched. I came back and launched 2 specializations on business analytics and business analysis in NIT Trichy. So the single point that I want to communicate is, if you want to teach students and you need to take efforts, throw the notes every year you prepare notes, right? I'm telling the teachers, don't keep the notes, throw the notes. And then you start preparing all over again. That's one. Second is, in every department, when subject allocation comes, nobody will leave the subject. 5 years, 10 years, I will teach because I have the same notes to teach. Okay, so we don't give the subject. You give the subject, give to somebody else, take a new subject. Then obviously you become relevant. In my department, if not all the times, at least few times when junior faculty came and they asked, I want to teach the subject, will you give? I gave. Okay. In that process, I started over a period of 15, 20 years, I taught every 5 years or something new subjects. Those subjects that I taught in topics like IT consulting or knowledge management or something, I made a lot of money as well. I did a lot of training programs. I did consulting assignments with the same knowledge that I gained in those new subjects. So the limited point that I want to drive is teachers give out, drop the subject, start looking at new subjects. And in those teaching context, look at what are the kind of skills that you are imparting to students. I'm sure that today we talk about a variety of skills and broadly categorized into core skills. What are core skills? If you are a student of computer science, the very fundamental skills required, writing a program or debugging a program or something like that. Or if you are a literature student, for example, then how will you write a report for a newspaper? Or how will you write a story by yourself? Or how will you write an anecdote assignment for a given context? So this is your core skills for which you need to have a very solid subject understanding. Okay. The second skill, just linked to the core skill, is soft skills. The soft skills is how you communicate what you know, either one-to-one or in a group of people. How will you communicate? We have seen in our own lives, there are very good teachers who cannot communicate. And we have also seen teachers very good at communication, no content. After attending 60 minutes of class, when you come out of the class, what did I learn today? The teacher engaged you with so many different items, anecdotes and examples. But when you leave the class after 60 minutes, you don't have anything in your mind. So therefore, it is very important whether you are a teacher or a professional, how you communicate. The communication itself is not about language. It's about how you put across your ideas without any distortion. Okay, whether you are doing that. The second set of skills, what we call as life skills. What are these life skills? This is very important today because of so many distractions in life. Do you get up every day in the morning on time? Do you have certain habits that you want to follow? Do you, get into some physical activities? Do you do meditation, yoga? These are some of those life skills. It is also about following certain good principles in life, all that together. And many of these things cannot be taught in a classroom. Many of the things that you will learn from your own parents initially and from your own friends and classmates. So how do you create such a context? The institute where I worked, we are a government institute. We follow reservation. So every time you end up getting about 50% of students from reservation. Nothing wrong about it. Now, when I joined as a director in 2018, they were presenting a report to me and said, sir, 40 students of the first year, the previous year, first year will not come back. I asked them, why? Sir, they didn't complete the required number of credits passes. So unless otherwise they pass certain number of courses, they cannot continue in the second year. It is the old system. Now what happens, when I just took the record and saw, most of the students are from reserved category and from rural areas. Okay. So what are we trying to do? You admit students and you teach them for a year and tell them, no, you are not fit for the program. And what is the great fun in doing it? You do nothing to do it, right? So then it's also about the another challenge that the institute where I was the director, there is no recurring grant. Okay, the recurring grant comes from the what you call the fee. So I lose 50 fees of the 50 students, and the 50 students don't get the opportunity to study also. What we call as lose-lose opportunity. They lose, I also lose. That process, when we looked at how to improve this, we launched a program called February 25. The February 25 is at the end of first semester with the midterm examination, we just 5 subjects rank the students in the order of decreasing marks, take the students who are in bottom 25 in all the 5 subjects. Okay, there may be 20, 30 students, and they are called slow learners technically, but we didn't want to call them as slow learners. We called them as February 25. And these February 25 students were taught extra classes by senior students, classmates, non-teaching staff, and there are so many companies around, those young engineers who came and taught. That 40 students, when I left after 4 years, we brought to 2 students. So it is about how you meet the expectations of the students. The second is industry, particularly SMEs. You know, 40% of our industrial production comes out of SMEs, and equal percentage of exports also through SMEs. But somehow we think when we look at jobs, we only look at top companies, only multinational companies. We don't look at SMEs. And SMEs are also companies. SMEs are also paying salaries. And everybody wants jobs in those higher industries, and who will work for these companies? So we need to look at preparing students for that also. And the community and society, needless to talk about it, and sustainable health. So I just, sleep has come, I'll just close this. Now when you look at quality, we need to look at outcome. Only outcomes. How many halls you have with air conditioning in your institution? Or how many hostels are there? How many students are staying in the hostel? Or how many faculty are there in the institution is not a matter. Every year when you are passing out 100 students, what happens to the students? How many of them getting jobs? How many of them becoming entrepreneurs? How many of them take up services like IAS or IPS or whatever? What happens to your students is what we are going to focus. And of course, I can go on. Second is good governance. Do you have a good governance system? Do you do things, everything transparently? Do you say, this is the fees I am collecting and this is how I am spending my money? Last year in Bangalore, the computer science seat is 75 lakhs. For BTech computer science seat, the capitation fee is 75 lakhs. Now when there's 4-year period, there are 100 students, what do you think is the percentage of money spent on student? Maybe 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs? But how do I justify 75 lakh fees? Is what is the system that is looking at, what we call as transparency and public disclosure. You should openly declare everything that you do in your institution. And finally, financial probity. Every financial transaction that happens in an institution should be transparent, and you need to have a good financial governance model. You know, many institutions start, particularly private, and they close, and they don't get to admission because there is no financial viability for them. And there is no financial model that they have established. I just want to close with the last few minutes. Okay. I'm called 360-degree teacher. Now, one is, if you want to be a teacher, good teacher, you need to do inclusive teaching. That inclusive teaching is, some of this we already discussed, and you need to ensure that when you walk out of a classroom, and you should be happy that I have taught my students this today. My students gained this from me. And importantly today, when the students know everything, and there is a very little that you can add from the textbook or from your own learnings or from your research, you need to create opportunities to bring in newer knowledge, which means how you are connected with the industry, how you are connected with the society, how you are connected with the professional networks is going to be a matter for you to deliver good content to your students. Those teachers who are well aligned with the professional societies, professional networks, get connected with a lot of people and they are able to interact with such people and bring in newer knowledge, newer connections to our students. Increasingly, it is not going to be important in how much time you spend in your classrooms and in your office cabin, but it is going to be important how much time you spend outside your campus. How are you connected with industry and other stakeholders? It's also about taking all the students together. You don't teach only to good students. Take every student together. And your ability to teach the low-end students is your real competency. If you are teaching for good students, there's nothing. If you are driving in a road, there are no vehicles, nothing great about it. If you are driving in a road, there are so many vehicles, that's when your driving ability comes through, right? So you need to have that ability of teaching students who really need. The second one is qualitative research and innovation. You need to start focusing on how do I publish quality publications? How do I, from my first publication to second publication to third publication, how do I improve? As per the parameters that I just explained. And also look at, if I want my student to become an entrepreneur, I go and tell you become an entrepreneur. He will ask you tell me what is this entrepreneurship is all about. And unless otherwise you sort of demonstrate that you can promote entrepreneurship, you can do business. Actually, there is a word called intrapreneurship. Okay, intrapreneurship is an entrepreneurship qualities within a normal person. Okay, you need to develop that intrapreneurship in you. In fact, when we in our own institution, the TIDE project that we started, study center we started here. First round came, it was announced, nobody applied. It is about 2 crores of rupees. The second round came, the last date was almost over. I was the dean at the time. Okay, let me call few people and we'll put up an application. And we called somebody from ECE, somebody from MCA, somebody from computer science. And we applied for the grant. We established a technology business incubator. And I had to leave because I had to go as a director in another institution. I went there again, started another business incubator. I got 3 crores from NIT again to do that. You need to demonstrate. The biggest advantage my students had that there are about 10 companies in my own campus and these students got internship in those companies. Okay, you need to create that kind of extended research. The third is administration. And some of us like administration and many of us don't like administration. And administration is very important. Only if you are in administration, you know the difficulties. And it gives you an opportunity to do things beyond your teaching. So when I became the HOD, I was 29. Because it was by accident I became HOD. And when I became HOD, my teacher was, my own teacher was a faculty. My own student was also a faculty. My classmate was a faculty. You look at what will happen as a HOD, how will you manage these different sets of people? I remember my own teacher will sometimes gets irritated. He will come and open my door. What are you doing as HOD? He will shout at me. Okay, that's a learning. Okay, so administration will give you lot of visibility, lot of competencies, and a realization that this is what is good for the institution, this is not good for the institution. Okay, but obviously, just because I was the HOD, dean, director, Then I became a director of an institution. Today I am a director of a national level institution because of that administrative experience. And that administrative experience also with so many challenges. Madam will tell or our dean will tell, every day you need to face challenges. And there are so many people who can ask you questions and it polishes your abilities. So if you get a chance to become an administrator, even as a warden or assistant dean, associate dean, or a department, some section coordinator, if you get a chance, take it up. And that will open up your mind. And very important, which I missed the other one is, when you get an opportunity to go out, go out. Don't stick to a place. Only if you go out, you learn things in life. And when I was, I think my daughter was just 1 year old, I had an opportunity to go to UK for 5 months through a fellowship. I was thinking, why, how will I leave my family, my 1 year old daughter, and they have to live alone. And I was contemplating this. At some point in time, I decided that I am not going. Okay. But then somebody advised me at that point in time, no, this is an opportunity, you should go. Then made certain arrangements and I went to UK to a university, spent 5 months there. That's when the complete mind opened up. That's the first time I'm traveling to a country and seeing people, seeing universities and all that. But that exposure you should get. Whenever you get an opportunity, an industry internship or a fellowship, pick up that and move out. And there will be difficulty, challenges in your home or in a job. Then I went on a Fulbright. One semester I went to teach, in the US university. When I was in 2015, I was a dean, everything I completed. I went again on a fellowship, Commonwealth fellowship to UK. At that time also there is a learning. It's not that we have learned everything. And every opportunity that you get is a learning opportunity that you need to look at, particularly when you want to be in administration. The last one is community services. And actually, each one of us have a responsibility as individual or as teachers to lift our society. And to see that the poor people, the marginalized people are helped under their mainstream. And whatever little way we can help those people, we can do that. Today, it happens at 3 levels. You can pick up at any level. You can go and create awareness. Today, you go to a rural area, hygiene and health is a very important issue, particularly women. And you can go there, just educate them. What is good, what is not good, and how do we manage health and hygiene. There are so many people dropping from schools. Go and tell them what are the other opportunities available. So you can create awareness. You can engage with society. Take a bunch of 10th dropouts and coach them on some building or something. You have all the resources in institutions like this and do it. Third is obviously look at how you can help villages together. So if you get an opportunity to work as a volunteer in such activities, I think you should take it. So I think with this, I'll stop here. I don't think we have time for questions. If there are time, I'll answer questions.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful speech. As the speaker, sir, will be here with us, the delegates are requested to have your discussion session with sir after this session due to the time constraint. So now, I request Dr. S. Gopalraj, sir, to give the concludatory remarks.
Respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, deans, research scholars, and participants across the country. As we conclude the significant session on quality education and academic opportunities towards Viksit Bharat, it is my privilege to propose the formal vote of thanks. We are deeply honored by the special address by our Professor Dr. Ganesan Kannabiran, Director, NAC, for SAR's comprehensive and policy-oriented address has provided valuable insights into the NAC evolving process with accreditation framework and its transformative role in strengthening higher education. His emphasis on outcome-based education, research quality, measurable research outcomes, institutional governance, quality assurance cell, and societal impact strongly resonates with the responsibility we hold as a faculty members and research scholars. NAC policy clearly underlines that quality is not confined to only documentation or assessment cycle. Rather than it is a culture of continuous improvement and it demands rigorous and impactful research, ethical academic practice, transparent governance, student-centric, and learner-driven approaches. For the faculty members, this means some sustainable commitment to involve in the teaching and funded research projects with mentoring excellence. For research scholars, it means pursuing research with original societal relevance and global competitiveness. As we move towards the vision of Viksit Bharat, our academic and research ecosystems must become engine of innovations, knowledge, creation, and societal transformation. On behalf of the organizing committee of SHoDH, I extend our sincere gratitude to Dr. Kannabiran Ganesan for his inspiring leadership and guidance on quality assurance. I thank the host institute, NIT Trichy, Director Madam, for providing a wonderful opportunity. I also thank all the faculty members, research scholars for your active participation through and scholarly engagement for this session. Let us translate today's insight into astronomical strategies within our department and research laboratories. At last, quality is not a mere one-time achievement. It is a sustainable institutional responsibility. With these words, I conclude this session and once again thank each and everyone for your valuable presence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of NIT Trichy and SHoDH, I extend our sincere gratitude to Professor Ganesan Kannabiran, sir, for his valuable insights, and Dr. S. Gokulraj, sir, for joining this session, and to all the participants for your active attention. We now conclude this session. The delegates and faculty members are requested to join the refreshments and kindly come back to the hall for the next session by 11:15 a.m. Thank you.
Approach. I respectfully invite our honored dignitaries, Dr. T.V. Murali Vallabhan, guest speaker of the session, and Dr. Savita A.R., the chair of the session. Sir, please. Ma'am, please. A nation that forgets its roots cannot shape its future. Integrating Indian knowledge system is not a return to the past, but a renaissance for the future. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce Dr. T.V. Murali Vallabhan, an eminent academician, visionary leader, and tireless advocate of sustainable development. Dr. Murali Vallabhan currently serves as the director of the Center for Sustainable Development and the Marine Institute of Management at Marine College, Kuttikanam, in the serene hills of Idukki district, Kerala. He also serves as the director of the course on Community Leadership Training Program at Amrita Vishwa Vidyadeepam, Kollam, a position he has held since 2015, shaping socially committed and ethically grounded leaders. An award-winning teacher, he is a proud recipient of several honors, including the prestigious St. Berchmans Award for the Best College Professor in Kerala, a recognition of his excellence in teaching and mentorship. As an international resource person, Dr. Murali Vallaban has contributed profoundly in the areas of sustainable development, Indian culture, and environmental education. He has presented over 300 research papers at numerous national and international conferences and seminars across the globe, including the Parliament of the World's Religions held in Melbourne, Toronto, Salt Lake City, Chicago, Montreal, and Kuala Lumpur, among many others. His scholarship carries both intellectual depth and global relevance. A profile author, he has written numerous books and scholarly articles that bridge sustainability, ethics, and Indian knowledge traditions. As a recognized research guide, he has successfully mentored and produced 10 PhD scholars in sustainability studies, contributing meaningfully to academic research and policy discourse. Beyond academics, Dr. Murali Vallaban is an accomplished organizer of national and international conferences, creating platforms for dialogue, innovation, and interdisciplinary collaboration. He previously served as the principal of NSS College and also held the distinguished position of independent director in public sector enterprises under the Government of India, reflecting his leadership in both academia and governance. It's my proud privilege to introduce our chair of the session, Dr. Savita A.R., an inspiring academician, dynamic speaker, and committed social intellectual. So I welcome you, sir. So about the chair of the person, Dr. Savita A.R. currently serves as the Associate Professor and Head of the PG Department of English and Research Center at Sri Ayyappa College for Women, Kanyakumari District, Tamil Nadu. With over 20 years of dedicated teaching experience, she is a gold medalist in MA English and BA English Purban Language, known for her academic excellence and compassionate mentorship. Her areas of specialization include disability studies and right and Indian knowledge system. She is serving as the syndicate member and formerly the Senate member, governor nominee of Manonmaniam Sundarnan University, and continued as a member of the Board of Studies. Dr. Savita has also served as District Sustainability Mentor of Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education and is a master trainer in community-based participatory research and disaster management. A columnist for in the Scrolls and an active member of Vivekananda Kendra and the Indian Red Cross Society, she is deeply committed to community service. I welcome you, ma'am. It is a moment of great honor to felicitate our distinguished guest whose wisdom and contributions continue to inspire us all. So I request Dr. Savita A.R. to facilitate Dr. T.B. Murali Vallaban sir, and on behalf of the organizing committee, I request Dr. V.T. Murali Vallaban to receive the token of appreciation as a humble expression of our gratitude and admiration. Then I invite Srikant, research scholar, Department of Biotechnology, Manonmaniam Sundarna University, to felicitate Dr. Savita A.R. as a symbol of our gratitude for the inspiring guidance and thought leadership. So I am handovering the mic to our distinguished speaker, Dr. T.V. Murali Vallaban. Sir, we eagerly look for your valuable insights, please.
Honorable Directors, Deans, faculty members, and my young, vibrant, energetic and enthused research scholars who are the promise of the India's future. When we are speaking of the Viksit Bharat, it is you who are going to contribute, not the old age. They can be as guides, providing guidelines, but you are going to decide the future, the destiny of India. So welcome you to my presentation. This, what's the time, Chairperson, please? When should I stop the train which is running late? That's all. You just give me a hint. I'll stop. Because we call it as Adha Fauji Admi. That means half military men. We got our training in NCC, and time is the most important thing to be managed efficiently. Since it is running late, I have to cut the cord according to the available clothes. Okay. This is a zonal conference. You know, many conferences at the local, national, global levels are being conducted. And the most recent term is the glocal, global plus local. We have passed the age of liberalization, privatization, and globalization in the 1990s. And we are now passing through the multidisciplinary aspects of research from unidisciplinary aspects, and we are going towards the holistic vision. I will distinguish between these. And India was an underdeveloped country. It became a less developed country. It became again a member of the third world country. It became a developing country, and now we are aiming at the developed state of Indian economy as a whole, that is Viksit Bharat. And friends, the most important thing is that through our education, we have been imparting loads of information, but less knowledge and least wisdom, and not to speak of enlightenment. These are the 4 stages of education. Number 1, information. Number 2, knowledge. And number 3, wisdom. And number 4, enlightenment. Enlightenment was the stage where ancient Indian education reached through wisdom. And modern world is struggling to pass from information and knowledge towards wisdom and enlightenment, and the vagaries we are suffering now. Now, the millennia-old tradition and living culture. India is the only living culture. And Swami Vivekananda's words are there. Even if a sage who lived thousands of years ago come again to India and visit the villages, he can hear the vibrant sounds of the old mantras and the fumes coming from the homakundas. That's the difference. Egyptian culture is not there. Mesopotamian culture is not there. But Indian culture is still alive. What's the secret of this? We are going to see. And before that, you see that the difficult position of India now is that 2.5% of the global land area and 17.78% of the world population in 2025. America is thrice the size of India. Russia is thrice the size of India. China is twice the size of India. But India, with 1/3 and 1/2 of all these countries' size, we have to fed 146 crore now. The same land area, and in 2047, when we aim at Viksit Bharat, with the 953 crore world population and 167 Indian population, the land area will not increase. That is the constraint. and great demographic dividend. We used to boast about the great demographic dividend. In 2047, 65% of Indian population in working age between 15 and 64 years, which is rare for other countries, which is the common factor to India. And youth power is the double-edged weapon. When we boast of our youth power, we should also remember that unless proper training is given, it can turn as an atom bomb. Youth power, untrained or misguided, will turn as an atom bomb. So proper training should be given. We have guided missiles. You know what is happening in Gulf? We have guided missiles with misguided men behind that. And Viksit Bharat's 2047 goals are economic prosperity with a 30 trillion GDP and $18,000 per capita income. Social security with quality education, effective healthcare and defense power. Global leadership in international affairs with 100% digital connectivity and net zero carbon emissions. A sustainable society with environmental protection, circular economy and inclusive growth and value-based lifestyle. I'm not going to explain all this since the time is very limited. We can see what's happening in the global context, because whenever we are going for research, we should see the pretext, come to the text, come to the context and then go to the text. So the global context is this one. IPCC studies, these are all scientific studies. IPCC studies, International Panel on Climate Change, revealed that prior to 1800, the carbon dioxide level was only 240 ppm, but in 2021, it crossed to 420 ppm. You know the consequence. NASA gives an alert on dipping groundwater level. 21 out of the world's largest 37 aquifers have passed their sustainability tipping points. Future world wars for water, sometimes it may happen. Each year globally a net loss of 26 billion tons of soil due to erosion and degradation. That is World Resources Institute study. And recurring tornadoes, heat waves in one part, freezing cold in another part. Floods in Gulf countries, floods even in Gulf countries, show the erratic behavior or furies of climate. The information of these conditions are the results of knowledge without wisdom. Why these things are happening? As I mentioned earlier, it is the knowledge, no wisdom, and no consciousness, proper consciousness. And these are the risks ahead. I am skipping these due to the lack of time. 6% of insects, 8% of plants, 4% of vertebrates will be affected at 1.5 degree increase. And these are the things you can get. Now this is one of the important slide which I want to make. Majority of the inventions that took place in the world were for the purpose of war. Sanitary napkins of 1920s, radar and walkie-talkies of 1930s, night vision equipment, ballistic missiles, nuclear technology and jet engine of 1940s, digital photography and internet of 1960s, satellite navigation and GPS of 1970s, AI and drones of the 21st century and they are being used. They were used in Gaza war. They are now being used, as you know, the present ongoing war, and also in Ukraine war. These are all being used. The main purpose of these inventions were war purposes, not peace purposes. Why? Because lack of wisdom, only knowledge and information. And also this says about 800 wars after the formation of UN in 1945. 10.38 small or big wars per year, almost one war per month. That is the statistics. And how much sustainable will be the world? This is the context. And global military spending, according to the SIPRI, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Yearbook 2025 released on June 16, 2025. Global military expenditure soared up to $2.7 trillion in when compared to 2024, a 9.4% rise. This is the war expenditure is on the increase. And we spend billions of dollars to find life on other planets and trillions of dollars killing the life on this earth or this one. This is the contradiction, the paradox that we are going through. This is the context in which we are, when we are aiming at a Viksit Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, these are the realities that we have to take into account. And the root cause is mechanistic model. See, I think that almost all of us belong to the science community, whether it is physical science or social science, it is science. You know what are the basis of the present classical science, scientific thinking? It is the Baconian, Newtonian, and the Descartesian model. Francis Bacon, Isaac Newton, and Descartes, their contribution formed the basis of science and technology of the present era. The 16th, 17th, and 18th century science. If you want to know more about that, please refer Frigo Capra, The Turning Point. Francis Bacon said, nature, I'm quoting, nature in his view, quoting from Frigo Capra, nature in his view had to be hounded in her wanderings, bound into service, and made a slave. She was to be put in constraint, and the aim of the scientist, mind the words, and the aim of the scientist was to torture nature's secret from her. Approach to nature as a master, man as a master, and nature as a slave. And this replaced the organic and ecocentric and divine concept of nature with the anthropocentric attitude. Anthropocentric means human-centered attitude. And what did Newton contribute? Philosophically, his image of the world was as a machine. He believed the giant cosmic machine, which is completely causal and determinate and governed by immutable laws and certainty. And asked, a cubic meter of forest soil cannot be repaired or replaced since so far scientists could not count the microorganisms in that. Then how can we control nature? This is the reality. And so far only there is a book known as 4% universe. Scientists are able to uncover the secrets, the realities only up to 4%. Knowing 4%, how can we find solutions to the burning problems of this planet? And Cartesian division. Nature as a perfect machine governed by exact mathematical laws. That was the Cartesian view. And he considered human body as a machine. And as a result, the analytical method of breaking up thoughts and problems into pieces and in arranging these in their logical order, they believed that we can find solutions to any problem. So this is breaking up a problem into pieces. This is reductionist approach, partial approach, fragmented approach, which is contradicted to the holistic approach, the integrated approach. Now, scientists are moving from this partial approach and super specializations towards holistic and integrated approach. As a result of the above three approaches, three paradigms, the concept of the earth as a nurturing mother disappeared. Alma mater concept, mother earth concept, they disappeared. Organic view was replaced by mechanistic model. Anthropocentric attitude was followed by anthropogenic problems. So from mechanistic model to inter and multidisciplinary studies and holistic vision, then we will connect it to the Indian knowledge system. Here we find that the term holistic is from Greek word holos, which refers to an understanding of the reality in terms of integrated wholes, whose properties cannot be reduced to those of smaller units. In India, it is the Sakalya Darshanam. We had thousands of years this approach here, the holistic approach. It was known as the Sagalya Darshanam. This is also part of the modern systems theory, and I'm not going into the details. And holistic vision has been considered as an important one even by United Nations. Holistic approach, it is urgent for health of the people, animals and environment. The UNEP news reference is given. The heads of the FAO, UNEP, WHO and UN-backed World Organization for Animals' Health have come together in the face of multiple global emergencies like the pandemics, loss of biodiversity, climate change, and they demanded a holistic approach for the solution of these problems. So globally, internationally, by the scientific community, this holistic approach is being demanded. Then multidisciplinary approach. This is a very interesting statement which we find in the normal literature on multidisciplinary studies. The physicists or nuclear scientists are very good at describing and practicing the manufacturing of atom bombs. But they are not able to explain why poverty exists in the world. But perhaps an expert in international economics or politics or philosophy or psychology may be able to answer this question. You know, physicist is not able to answer all the questions. Economist is not able to answer all the questions that we confront now. Economists cannot explain why the Himalayan glaciers are retreating or receding every year between 18 and 20 meters, but glaciologists are able to explain. There lies the multidisciplinary relevance, study relevance. But glaciologists are unable to explain how much is the loss of agricultural production and why diminishing marginal utility operates in consumption. These questions could be answered only by economists. This means that no discipline is complete in itself to answer all the questions arising out of even in that discipline. So a question that is arising or emerging out of science and technology may have another dimension, ethical dimension, political dimension, economic dimension. So only when these scientists club together, come together and think together and act together, then only will we be able to find answers to these questions. That there is the relevance of the multidisciplinary studies. This biophysics, biochemistry, biostatistics, bioinformatics, mathematical economics, food engineering, neuroscience. Neuroscience is now molecular biology plus biophysics and computational science. Francis Oshim in 1962. Psephology is another branch of multidisciplinary science. Politics plus psychology plus statistics. Environmental studies, eco-technology, eco-politics, circular economy, green laws, eco-theology, eco-sophy means ecology plus philosophy, eco-literature, etc. And the NEP also promotes this multidisciplinary studies. A holistic and multidisciplinary education would aim to develop all capacities of human beings, physical, emotional, intellectual, aesthetic, moral, spiritual, and social in an integrated manner. Then religions have a dialogue, which I am skipping. The 2020 Sustainable Development Scheme also includes the multidisciplinary studies and holistic vision. And now we come to the IKS as a crisis solution. How Indian knowledge system could or can act as a solution to the multi-dimensional problems confronted by humanity in the present century. Human society is moving from problems to crisis. Means for a problem it is rather easy to find solutions. When a problem gets aggravated, it is very difficult to find solution. Then we call it as a crisis. Industries plus mechanization and technology, that is equal to life changes, lifestyle diseases, search for wellness, well-being, welfare, etc. The meaning of that sentence is that during the second or third stage of industrialization, we know that human muscles were replaced by machines. And nobody could foresee the consequence of that replacement. And now we are complaining that we have lifestyle diseases because the machines replaced the human muscles. And now what is going to happen? AI is going to replace human intelligence to a very great extent, if not fully. And nobody is able to predict what would happen after 10 to 15 years. We are using calculators, we are using smartphones. How many of us are able to remember the phone numbers by heart? It is adversely affecting the memory system. Now, there is a crisis at the information level. There is a crisis at the knowledge level. And there is a crisis at the wisdom level, which we are going to see. And here, what is the role of IKS? And IKS is our traditional knowledge system, which was prevalent in India for millennia. And one of the definitions that is given to the traditional initiatives, traditional knowledge initiatives, is the word used by UN. What I mean to convey to you is that it is not the effort of Indian government alone, but it is a global attempt to understand the traditional wisdom of the indigenous people of this world, to find how they could perform to solve the present crisis. In that way, awareness of the value of traditional knowledge, innovations and practices of indigenous and local communities around the world, particularly its potential contribution to sustainable development and poverty alleviation, is very crucial in the modern world. United Nations is claiming that, not India. So it is the duty of every research scholar to find how relevantly the indigenous knowledge system could be used for solving the problems. The UN wants to learn the wisdom of traditional knowledge initiative and spread it through joint research projects with UN agencies, universities, indigenous and regional networks, and other institutions at a global level, informed by local involvement of indigenous peoples and local communities, higher education institutions, and the net result was the decade of education for sustainable development. And education for sustainable development, initiated by the United Nations in association with European and American universities and United Nations University Tokyo. So there is a global effort for recognizing the importance of the indigenous knowledge system. And the ILO report also says that the International Labour Organization's report, the International Panel on Climate Change, also supports the domestic knowledge system, the indigenous knowledge system. And there is a definition given by Dr. Mahadevan and others. And they explain Indian knowledge system as the indigenous knowledge generated as in the Indian subcontinent, or Akhanda Bharata, disseminated through literary and non-literary or oral traditions from about 3000 BCE to 500 Christian era. It's taken from Introduction to IKS, Concepts and Applications, published in 2022. So we find that there was the contribution of Indian knowledge system in almost all the fields of knowledge, and the principles and values disseminated by the IKS are sustainable beyond time and space. That means it does not change day to day. For example, modern science taught me when I was in the primary and secondary school that Pluto was a planet in the solar system. And now students are taught that Pluto is only a dwarf planet. It is not a planet. And recently there was a change in the concept of the human body temperature. It is not that is exactly 37.7 degrees Celsius. It is some 1 or 2 degrees, 0.1 or 2 degrees different. So correct falsibility is the stand always of science. If everything is subjected to falsibility, then where is the truth? When can we find the truth? It's a long journey. So here, what I mean to say is that IKS is able to provide the sustainable truth, long-term truth, when compared with physical sciences in many aspects. For example, I'm saying that there is an Upanishad known as the Garbhopanishad, which deals with embryology. At the same time, there is the Subalopanishad, which deals with cosmology. And modern science says that there is the inflationary theory, the Big Bang. And modern science also says that the Big Bounce theory. And this is Srishti and Pralaya. Srishti is emerging from that one point, from that Shunyata. And the Pralaya is going back. The same concept, but said in different languages. And in Indian knowledge system, Kautilya, was a social scientist, and he says that there should be three components for knowledge, that is Vidya, Vivekam, and Vichakshana. Vidya is creation of new knowledge through research. Vivekam is wisdom to use the right knowledge at the right time and at the right place for the right purpose. That is not found in modern science and technology, where we say that knowledge is secular. Knowledge cannot be secular. When it reaches wisdom with values, knowledge becomes, or knowledge gets some purposes. It is the human welfare, the global welfare. And Vichakshana is the skill sets to get the proper results of knowledge in life. And NEP includes all these three elements. There are certain principles in the IKS, Indian knowledge system. For example, Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, which we were hearing it for the last 1 decade. The whole world is one family, the principle of interrelationship. Everything from a grain of sand to the whole cosmos are interrelated. And Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. That is why, based on the principle of interrelationship, that we say, whatever we find on this universe there is the divine presence. There is a divine element. It is interrelated with divinity. So that you have no right to destroy another, because that also is contributing to our survival in one way or another. For the fact that we don't know certain things, we cannot say it is not existing. You please listen, absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Please remember, scientists, absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. In research thesis, we have to remember this. And Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, that is also the universal welfare. Respect for nature, that is in IKS. Vishnu Bhakni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Chanasume. When we get up in the morning, we used to touch the feet of Mother Earth. The Devada concept, we respect air, water, soil, forest, rivers, mountains, sea. Jala Devada, Vayu Devada, Agni Devan. And rivers are also worshipped as Devadas. Bhumi Devi. The worship of animals as the vehicles or associates of these gods. For example, monkey, elephant, lion, peacock, snake, mouse, all these animals, even insects, ants were worshipped. This is the biodiversity concept. This is the biodiversity concept according to the Indian philosophy, Indian knowledge system. The worship of plants, banyan tree, tulsi, and we have a book known as Vrikshayurvedam. Every plant on this planet is useful, it says. And worship of forest, Mahavanam, Tapovanam, Srivanam, sacred groves. And the Panchabhutas, Akasham, space, Vayu, air, Agni, fire, Jalam, water, and Bhumi, the earth or the soil, for material parts. And the Panchamada concept, the Dehamada, the physical, the biological mother who gave birth to a person. That's the first motherhood. Then After that, the Govmata. Why do we worship Gov? Because after the breast milk of our mother, we drink the milk of cows. There is a close relationship. And third thing is Deshamada. The nation is the mother. Why? Because it is the nation that protects and provides everything for the Dehamada and the Govmata. And after that, the Bhumada, Bhumi Devi. Why? Because it is the Bhumada who protects and provides everything for the Dehamada, Govmada, Deshamada. And last but not the least, the Jagadamba, the Prapanchamada, in which the Dehamada, Govmada, Deshamada and Bhumada exist and survive. These are the noble concepts of the Indian knowledge system. And for the society, what is given? Prayas, material prosperity; Shreyas, spiritual progress; ethics and values; Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, known as the Purusharthas. The Kaudilya's Arthashastra is a book which treats with economics, politics, governance, law. Then Niti Shastra is there. The epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata is there, where the whole lives, the problems of lives are being explained in detail. When in a crisis, how to react, how to find solutions, and the Puranas. And the IKS and the economic sustainability, when we are heading towards the Viksit Bharat, this is also important. Om Shadahasta Samahara Sahasrahasta Samkida. That means with thousands of hands, let us accumulate wealth, let us acquire wealth. With hundreds of hands, let us accumulate wealth. And with thousands of hands, let us distribute these, so that wealth should not be accumulated in one person or family. Acquire with 100 hands and distribute with 1,000 hands, and let prosperity flourish there. Sahasra guna muttishtam aditye hirasam ravim. About the tax collection in Raghuvamsha, Kalidasa says that the sun takes seawater only to distribute in the land in the form of rainwater. So from one place you take only to be distributed in another place, so that equality is maintained in the society in terms of wealth. Now, I am concluding. Yes, I am concluding. I hope that I didn't exceed the time. These are the technology, architecture and warfare. These are the areas of Indian knowledge contribution in chemistry, in technology, in architecture, in warfare. I have given the authors as name of authors as well as the contributions of this names of this book. Then in Vrikshayurveda, in chemistry, Nagarjuna, Rasaratnagaram, like that, so many contributions in chemistry. In veterinary sciences, so many contributions. In Ayurveda, so many contributions. Even in surgery, pediatrics, toxicology, geriatrics, rejuvenation, psychiatry, in all these branches there are contributions. Let the young scholars come and study this and compare it with the modern science. And if it is something is found wrong somewhere, let us expose that, let us correct ourselves. And if it supplements to the existing knowledge, let us add to that existing knowledge. Then astronomy and mathematics. And this is a diagrammatic representation of the Apara-vidya and Para-vidya. These are the two branches, general branches of Indian knowledge system. In Apara-vidya, it is applicable to, there are Vyashti, that means individual, society and creation, Dharma, Artha and Kama. We have two stages where we have to acquire these three values, that is Brahmacharya and Grahasya. Through Bhakti and Karma, we can live these lives. These are simple and sustainable lifestyle models, and the moderate lifestyle for Grahasthas. And the last measure to be adopted for the proper management of a nation is the four Upayas, Chadurupayas, Sama, Dana, Bheda and Danda. And the Paravidya side is about the Parameshti, the supernatural or superpower, the Almighty, and the method is through moksha, and moksha is given for vanaprastha and sannyasa through yoga and jnana. That also delivers a simple and sustainable lifestyle, perfectly sustainable lifestyle by sannyasins. And I'm concluding, IKS is one of the foundational principles of New Education Policy 2020. The core components of IKS in general are knowledge, jnana, science, vijnan, and Jivan Darshan, philosophy of life. IKS division functions in our country as research group establishment, scholars identification, IKS cell establishment in institutions, forming expert groups and committees, and curricular integration. And the Vision 2047, Bharat as Vishwa Guru. Certainly this IKS will increase the speed of attainment of the Viksit Bharat in 2047. And whatever I want to conclude, whenever I want to conclude, I'm quoting from a UN 1992 saying that if the present lifestyle of the world continues, by the turn of the 21st century, either human beings will kill the earth or the earth will kill the human beings. So IKS is the only solution. Merging IKS with Western knowledge, both are necessary. We should move from information through knowledge to wisdom and enlightenment. Otherwise, either human beings will kill the earth or the earth will kill the human beings. Let us hope that it may not happen. It should not happen. It's our duty to see that it should not happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. So that was an excellent session that started with what friend and moved on from global to local, and the solution, the sustainable solutions for the crisis which we face today. And I'm sure from the deliberations and the informal discussions that have been happening from yesterday, a lot of us do have many concerns about practicing IKS in our daily life or our daily research. So now the session is open to you, and you're free to ask questions to our resource person. We have around 10 minutes. Please bring the mic. So you don't have any queries today? After 1.5 days?
If there are no questions, the conclusion can be either you have agreed with whatever I said, 100% agreement, or you didn't understand anything.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Dr. Fayaz Paul. I'm an assistant professor in Rajgiri Medical College, and my specialization is forensic and clinical psychiatry. Sir, my question is with regard to, we are discussing about the various books which are specifically mentioning about the IKS. So with regard to the practical administration or practical adaptability, how can we rely on the reliability and validity of these books, especially if we are dealing with the medical science? As I am from the medical science, how can we check the reliability and validity of these books when we are administering those books in the context of the patient? For example, I am from the forensic psychiatry. We are using Ergon's book, which is specifically meant for neuroscience and neuropathology. So if I administer the same book in the patients, with regard to the IKS books that you mentioned about the psychiatry, what is the reliability and validity of these books? That's my question, sir.
First, the thing is, usually in question answer sessions, the questions will be much longer than the answers. But thank you for being brief in asking questions to the point. You asked about the reliability of the books, no? Do you believe that they are there? These books are there? No, I am just asking whether these books are there or not. They are there. They are there. And in this age of scientific evidence, explorations, where carbon-14 experiment is there, why do you doubt, if at all, if you have doubt with regard to the history of any subject or any book or any branch of knowledge, why don't we apply the modern techniques to test that and establish the fact? We have sufficient opportunities. Nobody is preventing you from exploring that. There are hundreds of persons doing research in these areas, in Ayurveda, in metallurgy, in ancient law, in ancient economics. For example, I will say one thing. Have you heard of the sacred groves? Sacred groves, in Tamil Nadu it is there, in Kerala it is there, in Maharashtra it is there, in Karnataka it is there. Sacred groves is the ancient or the traditional custom of worshipping the serpents and the forest in one part of the plot of land, ancestral property. Okay. So this sacred grove can be I'm from Kerala, the land of rationalists, leftists, liberal so-called intellectuals. I was born and brought up there. So these sacred groves, in the name of superstition, my own uncle destroyed it, exterminated that to the full extent, saying that you should plant rubber trees on that plot so that will yield you more money. That happened. You know what happened after 10 to 15 years? After 10 to 15 years, our wells got dried up early. Our ponds got dried up early. Because there was an old saying in our place that Kaavu Tindalle Makkale Kulam Vatti Pogum. That means if you touch the sacred groves, the ponds will get dry. There was no science behind that during that period. But later, in the recent times, the IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, also the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, scientists from these organizations came to study about the sacred groves of Kerala, and they found that it is a mini forest. It's a mini forest. And what, have you ever gone to the core of a forest, inside the forest? I like trekking, so therefore every year I used to go to Himalayas and the Western Ghats. If you go to the core forest and place your foot there, it will go knee deep. That means it is just like the sponge, very soft. And what happens when water falls on the sponge? When water falls on sponge, the absorption capacity of sponge is very high. Am I right? And when we pour water on sponge, it won't be released as we pour it on it. It will be retained for some time. That means the second quality of the forest soil is that the water retention capacity is also very high. And the third thing is that the water releasing capacity is very low. So the water absorption capacity is high, the water retention capacity is very high, but water releasing capacity is low. That is why even during summer seasons, there are rivulets in the forest lands. That was the reason why, where sacred groves were kept in one top corner of the plot of land, the wells did not get dried up because they were mini forests. And the functions performed by the forests were similar to that of the functions of these sacred groves. The science behind that. Now we use, even the leftist Kerala government began to give assistance, financial assistance to dig ponds as well as to nourish sacred groves. Once they themselves have said that it was a superstition and destroyed it totally, and now they are rejuvenating that. This is only one example of our traditional wisdom. And many other examples are there. If you want, if you approach me personally, we can have personal contact. You're from Kerala. So we can have personal talk. There are many examples, many examples. Because the vision of India is not the European vision. The vision of India was holistic. A student who studies in primary school, where he does the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, is not aware of the tensor mathematics that mathematics has at a higher level. So we were trapped in the level of information and knowledge. We were not raised beyond those levels. That is why we disbelieved all these things and set aside and sidelined them as superstitions. Many of them, not all. Some superstitions are there for the sake of the benefit. There are people who exploit everything. And that category, we should treat it as superstitions themselves. All the rituals, and not all the rituals, some of the rituals and practices and traditions which we keep now are social evils, environmental evils. But many of them have certain substance in them, unless and until we make a very open-minded approach with an unbiased attitude, we won't be able to unveil the world of knowledge and wisdom. Thank you for the question.
The time is up, so this must be the last question.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Anupriya, research scholar from Sri Ayappa College for Women, Chungangadi, Nagarkoil. My question...
Nagarkoil, Ayappa
yes,
College?
Yes, sir.
I have been there. Okay.
So my question is, for the past 2 days or through various promotion programs of IKS, we come to know that there are many books that are available for the Indian knowledge system, or that was prevailing in this land for a very long time. How do we get to know where to find these books? Is there a library where we find all these books together, or is there an online access given by the government? How many books of them are translated? Where do we get to know all these?
Okay. The tragedy is that lion's share of these books are in Western countries. As part of colonialism, they have carried away all the financial wealth and this literature from our country. That's one fact. And some of the jewels are coming back, but these books are not coming back. That is also another tragedy. But still you can find the collection of books in certain libraries devoted for the study of traditional wisdom. In Kerala, we have the Bharatiya Vichara Kendra library, where some traditional books are there. There are certain private persons, in private households also. These are kept in the form of taliolas, that is what we call. Then efforts are now being made by Government of India itself to make very serious studies combining, not by eliminating, not by secluding the Western knowledge, but by integrating the Western knowledge and Indian wisdom together. We are trying our best to establish new library, digital libraries on website itself. You can see a number of books are available. Number of books are available. Online search. Google is the guru, no? You ask Google, it will bring everything.
Morning,
At least
sir.
you can have the guidance towards where we will get that. I'm not well versed where all these are available. I'm not well versed in that, but indications are there.
Good morning, sir. Sir, sir, it is said that the indigenous knowledge is inherent in India, but it is also said that all the Indians are intellectual. Like Swami Vivekananda is saying that whatever the knowledge the world has gained, whatever is found in the libraries, the millions of books, yes, everything is inherent in a human being. The duty of a teacher is just to unveil the screen of ignorance. It means that we are embodied with all the knowledge, whatever the world has gained.
Yes, yes.
If that is the case, whether all the kids who are growing or who are born in India are being intellectual, or in the science we say epigenetics, by the practice, whatever we have been accustomed by the parents' practices or by our ritualistic which is followed in the family, we get some culture. It is said in the biology. The characters what we get or the intellectual what we get is by epigenetic practices which are not in the gene but by the practices what we do, that is called epigenetic. Whether that is correct, or as we claim IKS is inherent in India, whether all the kids who are growing in India is embodied with the knowledge system.
Frankly speaking, I didn't get the crux of your question, but still I hope that, could you please put it in 1 or 2 sentences?
Sir, we are claiming that India is having inherent knowledge, and also all the kids or the people who are growing in India is embodied with all the knowledge system which is inherent in every human being. Whether that is correct, or it is only by the practices we gain this intellectual.
You are asking whether we can gain intellectual wisdom by reading and practicing our own treasures, or by
Or it is inherited.
inheritance. Okay, it is, yeah.
Comes naturally.
So heredity is the problem. No?
That's what I say, sir. In genetics, we say certain things carry from one generation to another generation. Whereas the epigenetics is by the practices of the parents or by our seniors, our forefathers.
Got it. See, in India, I will quote from Swami Vivekananda himself. Swamiji has said that it is principles, not personalities, that matter. That means the principles followed by a person determines his quality. Whether it is a laborer, a daily wage laborer also is highly intelligent in his own world. That is why Swamiji said, Swamiji once visited the king of Khetri, and the minister there asked Swamiji a question. Swamiji, I have a question. Then Swamiji said, please ask me. Whether the king who rules this country, or whether the cobbler, is it one who makes the shoes? Cobbler, huh? Yes. Whether the cobbler who sits on the roadside with a needle and a twine and a piece of leather, who is great? Then Swamiji said, each one is great in his or her own place. Then the minister asked, the minister was also intelligent, he asked Swamiji, kindly prove that. Then he said, you give the king a needle, some twine and a piece of leather and ask him to make a chapel. He won't be able to do that. But this cobbler will be able to do that. And on the other hand, you make the cobbler sit on the throne and ask him to rule the country for one day. That is impossible. So each person who is doing the work in his own area or field is intelligent and it is gained by experience. To a certain extent, it is hereditary also. But hereditary cannot determine everything. The kids of a musician need not always be a good musician. Sometimes it is passed on. You know, one who traces the knowledge of DNA and RNA will be able to trace that. But if somebody, for example, becomes a musician where his parents are not at all, no relation with music, how can we account for that? There also is the answer. Then Swamiji says that it is due to the past accumulated karmas. The past accumulated karmas are being reflected in the present life, and that is why we find child prodigies. And for that reason, we find that everything cannot be attributed to heredity, and everything cannot be attributed to acquisition by doing work. In this manner, I don't think that there will be a clear and definite answer, because there are certain persons who have gained intelligence without being transferred through heredity, and there are persons who have become very great men through heredity. So both are there, and we cannot specifically, correlate between these two. Specifically correlating is very difficult in this attempt. That is my humble opinion. And one more thing that I want to add to the youngsters is that Swami Vivekananda, when he visited America for attending the Chicago World Parliament of Religions in 1893, two university professors approached him and asked whether he could be the chair of Sanskrit in Columbia University and the chair of philosophy in Harvard University. To this question, he denied both and said that I have a mission to fulfill in my country and I will return. Had he been there, he would have one of the famous professors in the world. But still he is one of the famous sannyasin in the world. But gaining knowledge, while gaining knowledge and wisdom and intelligence, first we should attend our own immediate relatives, then immediate neighbors, and then our country, and to the global level. That is the way we should utilize our knowledge and intelligence, because the reason why I am here is, the primary reason is my parents, my relatives, my friends, my gurus. So I should be accountable to them first and then to the world at large. Thank you. I hope I have given the answer. Otherwise, we can have personal talk and clarify that.
So when Napoleon attacked Egypt and Syria in the year 1798, he didn't go just with a few soldiers. There was an army with him that comprised artists, historians, and they learned about each and every corner of the land. And the same happened in India too. When Britishers attacked the country, they didn't attack only the geography, but they studied the nook and corner of the country through Archaeological Survey of India, through Asiatic Society of India, and they constructed a new corpus of knowledge. And the mission which we have now as part of Viksit Bharat 2047 is deconstructing the knowledge systems that have been constructed as the colonial project for around 300 years. And we have to replace it with our own knowledge systems. And I'm sure what has been going on in this auditorium, in this platform for 2 days is just a drop of our effort. And I'm sure the deliberations that has happened here, the Murali sir has skipped most of his slides. There is more to talk, and we will continue this in the future sessions and future conferences. And thank you everyone for being here with us, and my special thanks to Dr. Murali Vallavan sir for coming over here and enriching our knowledge. And thank you NIT Trichy and the organizers for providing such a platform for each and every one of us. Thank you. So I extend my sincere gratitude to our esteemed speaker for delivering such an insightful and intellectually enriching session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And please pay heed to the instructions. So we will sit for the state-wise meetings right away in 3 groups: Kerala, North Tamil Nadu, and South Tamil Nadu. And how many delegates from Kerala? Okay. Okay, please. So the delegates from Kerala will be seated at the background, the backside. And delegates from North Tamil Nadu, please raise your hands. North Tamil Nadu, Chennai, Ranipet, Vellore, Pondicherry, Tirupattur, Tiruvannamalai, Dharmapuri, Arcot, Salem, Kadalur, Krishnagiri, Namakkal, Kanchipuram, Villupuram, Kudalur, Kallakurichi, Salem, Erode. And for South Tamil Nadu, Kanyakumari, Tirunelveli, Tenkashi, Thoothukudi, Virudhunagar, Ramanathapuram, Shivagangai, Madurai, Dindigal, Theni, Pudukottai, Trichy, Tanjavur, Tiruvarur, Nagapattinam, Coimbatore, Nilagiri, Ariyalur, Perambalur. So, half an hour from now, we will move for lunch, and after tea, we will reassemble for the parallel sessions on research methodology for emerging multidisciplinary and frontier areas in room number 82 and 83, 13. Delegates from science and tech background have to reach 82 5 minutes before 2 p.m. Delegates from social sciences, humanities and management will reach 13. I repeat, delegates from the science and tech background. Okay, we will stay in the hall for the state-wise meeting. Yeah, the North Tamil Nadu will sit at the right side of the stage, and South Tamil Nadu left of the seat.
So the delegates who are from where your educational institution is, okay, if your educational institution or your college or university are from Kanyakumari to Tiruchirappalli, you can see the south of Tamil Nadu, then you can be to this side, right side of mine, okay, and who are from Erode to Chennai, Tiruvallur, then you can be to the left side. No delegate should go outside of this. No delegate should go outside of this session. So this is a small parallel session. You can be here. Following that, you can leave to the lunch. Delegates from Kerala can move towards the back side of this hall. If you have any